bottom of the page, 2 lines from the bottom of the page Tess. We were speaking about that the mitzvahs of the Avos did not affect the physical world. And that's the difference between the mitzvahs after the Torah was given. That's the chiddush of Matan Torah, that by Matan Torah we have the opportunity to affect the physical world, that the Avos could not affect the physical world. The mitzvahs that they did, even though they fulfilled all the mitzvahs, was not impacting and not changing the physical world. So the beginning of this paragraph on line 18, he started asking that itself. What is it that the mitzvahs of the Avos were lacking that didn't affect the physical world, that only we, after Matan Torah, are able to affect the physical world? So we started explaining that the nature of things is that a creation can only reach all the way to its source. It can't reach higher than its source. And that's what we're holding by right now. Line 29, 2 lines in the bottom of the 4th page of the printouts. The general idea behind this is then, before the giving of the Torah, there was the decree and the divider between the upper realms and down here below, Shal Yoinim, top of page Yud, Kivin Shin Yonim Hol Yoinim, the ones above, since they are, their whole idea is about being above, Lo Yerdu Tachtoinim, will not descend down here below. Vatachtoinim, and the ones below, Kivin Shin Yonim Hu Tachtoinim, since they are, what their concept is about, is being down here below, Lo Ya'al Lo Yoinim, they will not go up to the ones above. This means even when the ones below performs matters pertaining to the ones above, still in it remains down here below and does not rise above. That is the novelty, that's the uniqueness of the giving of the Torah. Then the decree ceased, that the ones above should not descend below and the ones below should not ascend above. Became a joining of the above and below. That for this reason there needs to be a special empowerment, a special capability given that's beyond both the ones above and the ones below, through the having the joining of, through that power that is higher than both, it could join these two opposite things. And when did this take place? This occurred specifically by the giving of the Torah. By the giving of the Torah was a revelation of the level of Anoichi. Anoichi, I who I am, the level of Hashem's being that's beyond anything, beyond any names. Because of the power and capability of Anoichi, the way that Anoichi doesn't just remain aloof and removed, but it actually comes down in a revealed way to be Havai, your God. It becomes Kaichacha, your power, the Chayuscha, and your vitality. That's what it means. The level of Alikecha, that it's your Elekim shows on power and might, and it becomes your power, it becomes part of you and your energy. So then Nasa Chibur Dal Yonim Tachtoim then becomes the joining of the ones above and the ones below. Therefore, specifically the fulfillment of mitzvahs after the giving of the Torah, in such a way that the oil that is poured for your sake, for your name, like we spoke about yesterday, like a person that empties out from one vessel to another vessel, meaning instead of the way it was by the Avos, it's only the scent of the oil, which is insubstantial and doesn't remain. So, but the mitzvahs are the very oil itself. that the mitzvahs down here below, thanks to the power of Anoichi, that made that Havaya should be your koyach and your chayas, ensures that the mitzvahs down here below him, loirak reach bavad, are not only a scent, the way the mitzvahs are above, so too they're down here below. So now the Rebbe is still not going to let go of this question, and he's going to continue asking. True, it's only with Anoichi that it can bridge the gap between the Elyonim and Tachtonim, the ones above and below. But why wasn't there Anoichi earlier? Line 20, we still need explanation. Why was the revelation of Anoichi only comes down in the time of the giving of the Torah of Eloi b'mea Avos, not in the times of the forefathers? The Lachura seemingly, since the forefathers, they are considered the divine chariot, they were channels for godliness. They were completely bottled. They were neshamas, da'atzilus, etc., etc. Why did they not influence through their service in the manner of a chariot? Why didn't they affect the revelation of the level of Anoichi? But the idea behind this is that the reason for this, the pasuk itself explains why it was not possible for the others to do or to receive the level of Anoichi. So what does it say in the pasuk? Right away at the beginning of Dasar Sadibras, Anoichi avayel lekecha asher hoitzei sicha me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am avayel lekecha that took you out of the land of Mitzrayim. Hainu, this means shatam lazeh shagilu d'Anoichi avayel lekecha yedavke oz. The reason for the fact that the revelation of Anoichi Havaya Lekecha was specifically then, during the time of Matan Torah, and not in the days of the forefathers, not in the days of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Ulefi Asher Haitzei Sicha Meretz Mitzrayim, top of page Yud Aleph. It is because I took you out of the land of the Mitzrayim. So it should be able to be the revelation of Anoichi. There first has to be prefacing the exile of Mitzrayim and leaving Mitzrayim. So the Rebbe is going to explain how that works, why that is so. By first prefacing that the descent to Gaus Mitzrayim is for the sake of an ascent, like it says in the pasuk when Hashem told Yaakov Avinu about going down to Mitzrayim, that Yaakov Avinu wanted to know, should he follow Yosef into Mitzrayim? So they said, Anoichi ered imcha Mitzrayim. Hashem said, I will descend with you to Mitzrayim. V'anoichi alcha gam oloi, and I will also raise you up. I will also go up and take you up with me. Meaning that already in the descent is the goal, the ascent. Shakavona by Yeridam, that the intention in the descent, Anoichi Eredim Chom Mitzrayim, he b'shvila inyan Anoichi Alcha Gam Oloit, for the sake of I will raise you up and also I will go up. Shezo Agilu de B'chinas Anoichi, that's the revelation of Anoichi. So this means the Rebbe is being medayik from this pasuk that the descent in Mitzrayim was to enable the Gilui of Anoichi of Matan Torah, which the others cannot experience because they did not go down to Eretz Mitzrayim. What was it about Mitzrayim that affects this? Line 8, in the Mitzrayim, Mukura Barzel. The Mitzrayim is this iron furnace, iron smelter. By Deishahoyu, Yisrael Begos Mitzrayim, V'ovdelav V'desperach, through the Yidden being in the exile Mitzrayim. And they served and they did the back-breaking labor. Paul Birur V'zichuch B'chol in Yoni Eretz Mitzrayim. They effected a refinement and a purification in all matters of the land of Mitzrayim. Since Pari, the king of Mitzrayim, was then a ruler over the entire world, it wasn't just one private thing, one specific thing that took place in regards to Mitzrayim alone, but it impacted the whole world. Through the refining and purification of Mitzrayim, they affected a refinement and a purification in the entire world. Even the lowest matters of the world were refined and purified. How much more so it became a refinement of the lower part in the person himself. And after, through their avodah, they influenced and affected a refinement of all matters of Mitzrayim. When they left Mitzrayim, the Yidden extracted from there all the sparks. Like it says in the pasuk, "V'nitzaltem es Mitzrayim," that you have emptied out Mitzrayim. So that was the emptying out, meaning all the sparks that were to be elevated and were elevated. So now he's going to say an interesting point. Seemingly, what about the Yidden themselves? Where were they? Where was their own internal elevation? Did it happen? Did it take place? Etc. etc. So he says, though concerning the Yidden going out of Mitzrayim, it says that the nation ran away. Like explained in Tanya Perik Lamed Aleph, why was it necessary for the Yidden to run away? If Moshe Rabbeinu were told Parai, we're going away for good, Parai was scared for his own life, he surely would have let them go. So how come, why was it necessary for them to do it in a way that indicated they were running away? So it wasn't the running away because of Parai, it was the running away because the Yidden's own nefesh habahamis. The Yidden, could not know and realize that they were people, they were going to leave Mitzrayim and Klippas. The Shazel, because the bad within the Yidden was still in its full strength. This means that leaving Mitzrayim was primarily from the perspective of the nefesh halakis of the Yid. The nefesh habahamis still was in a state of Mitzrayim, the kol makim still and all, though initially when they left it had to be done in such a way because of the nefesh habahamis, because of the animal soul. Hayitziyah Mitzrayim, the going out of Mitzrayim, v'halicha be'emunah pshuta, and traveling with pure faith. Achri HaKadosh Baruch Hu, following Hashem, be'eres lo zerua, in an unplanted land, meaning a wilderness, nowhere where there's food. Like it says in the Navi, I remembered for you the love and kindness of your youth, meaning the love of the Yidden for Hashem when they were first a people, when they first went out of Mitzrayim. That you followed me in the wilderness, be'eretz lo zeruah, in the land that was not planted. So this traveling, this attitude, this approach, even of the nefesh habahamis, was already an introduction and preparation for the matters following it. Like it says in the pasuk, the top of page base, draw me after you, and we will run. Havi'ani hamelech chadarav, the king brings me into his chambers. She'inin the mashchein ishabitzias Mitzrayim, the idea that it says draw me, not draw us in the plural, but in the singular. Mashchein lashon yachid. Why does it say it in the singular? Because it was only concerning the godly soul. But that was only a first step that would result in a plural. That was an introduction. Where it says, after you we will run. Narutza lashon rabim. Narutza is in the plural. Where? How did that come about? Who's the plurality over here? B'nefesh halakis u'b'nefesh habahamis, both the godly soul and the animal soul were after the single after the singular of the Nefesh Elokis, eventually, and that was an introduction to Nefesh Abamis also participating. And they were the Merutza, Shizaya Merutza Lindaviani Amel Chadar. It was the rushing and running to that matter that the king brings me into his chambers by Matan Torah, by the giving of a Torah. Then there was the revelation of Anoichi. So now we're going to, again, combine the beginning and the end of the pasuk. This word says, I am Hashem your God, that took you out of the land of Mitzrayim. The revelation of Anoichi that took place by the giving of the Torah began in general when I took you out of the land of Mitzrayim. The giving of the Torah did not take place in the days of the forefathers. Since the revelation of the giving of the Torah is dependent on the refinement and purification of the world, that occurs through the exile of Mitzrayim and going out of Mitzrayim. Line 14. The matter that was explained previously, that came about through Matan Torah, which is Shaidei Ham Torah mitzvahs yiflu shinu begashmus ha'olam. Through Torah mitzvahs they'll affect a change in the physicality of the world, ba'ofen shel kvis, and in a way that it is established and set, and it's something that remains. Not like the actions of the Avos that they affected the physical, only temporarily, similar to a scent, that when you spray a scent, when you put on a scent, it's only temporary and then it evaporates, the scent goes away. The Torah mitzvahs, this difference and this idea of Torah mitzvahs, that since Matan Torah it affects the world, is concerning all matters of the Torah mitzvahs. And that's why he's going to get to answering some of the initial questions where it says, Videber Elekim es kol hadvarim ha'ela, that we said, why does it say that Hashem spoke all these matters? It should have just said, Videber Elekim anoich Hashem Elokecha. Why does it have to begin with this preamble, this preface, kol hadvarim ha'ela, the mashenemar kol hadvarim, where it says all the matters, koi loirak al aseres hadibris, comes to tell us that Hashem did not just speak then and deliver and communicate aseres hadibris, elagam al kol inyonei haTorah. Rather, kol hadvarim comes to include all matters of Torah, both Torah shebiksav and Torah shebapeh, the written and oral Torah. Kol gam masha kol masha talmud v'asik asur l'chadish, including everything that a diligent student in the future will come up with. That in all of these aspects of Torah, not just what it says over there in Aseres HaDibros, the Anoichi comes down, and in such a way that it becomes it becomes your energy, your life force. It becomes the joining of the Elyonim and Tachtonim. And we asked also about the word ha'ela. Kol hadvarim would have been enough. Why does it say ha'ela? Moisiv tevus ha'ela, and he adds the words ha'ela, the word ha'ela, shemoira al inyan hagili. When you say these, it's like zekeli. It's like pointing. It's saying, here it is. It's right in front of you. So don't think that it's some hidden thing, but it's an idea that's inyan hagilu, the idea of revelation. Hainu this means shachidush the Matan Torah shebachol hadvarim. The novelty of and the uniqueness of Matan Torah that comes down in all matters of the world, in all matters of Torah mitzvahs. Yom shel bechinas anoichi, that the anoichi comes down in all matters of Torah mitzvahs. U'ba'ofen shel gilui, it's in a way that's revealed. It's not concealed. That's why it says ha'ela, to tell you that the kol hadvarim's connection with anoichi is in a way of revelation. Therefore, the change that is occurring in the physicality of the world through matters of Torah mitzvahs is in a way of revelation. And for this reason as well, v'zeh gam hatam, this is also the reason, shebaser sadibris nemru dvarim shutim, that it was said ordinary, simple things. Like we said, it spoke about things that are obvious and even part of the Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach. For that, you needed to make a whole production of Matan Torah. The Matan Torah, since the novelty of Matan Torah is not the spirituality, but that things come down into the physical, Devarim Pshutim, ordinary, simple matters should be infused with the Anoichi, and the Anoichi should be revealed in them in the way of a El. Line 30. So now going back to the connection that he was going to say with the pasuk Vasisa Chag HaShavuos. This is also what it says. You will make the Yom Tov of Shavuos the amount of the giving of your hand, and instead of emphasizing that it's the giving of your heart, like it says by the Mishkan, it says the term why does it emphasize the hand? The emphasis in the Yom Tov was the time of the giving of the Torah. He should tzarech lachdor durchnemen Yiddish. It has to permeate gam es hayad hagashmis, also the physical hand. Nidvas yadcha, the donation of your hand. And that's also why it says asiya bepoyel, actual doing v'asisa. We asked, why does it say you will do and make the Yom Tov of Shavuos, when Shavuos is the least connected with doing an action, not like Pesach, that you need to make matzahs and sukkah, where you need to build a sukkah and there's the lulav and the dal minim. Shavuos has no doing, but that's the entire point. The point of Shavuos is that it needs to permeate the physicality. It needs to be in the world of doing, in the world of the hand. Another question we asked is, why does it say top of Yud Gimel that you're making the Yom Tov of Shavuos to havai your God? All that we do, all the mitzvahs that we do, all the Yom Tovim, everything that we do is lavai alekecha, is for Hashem your God. Why does it say specifically by Shavuos to havai your God? Top of page Yud Gimel. Matan Torah, because by Matan Torah it says, Anoich havai alekecha, I am havai alekecha. This means it's not just you have the level of Anoichi somewhere up there, but the Anoichi has to permeate and come into the Havaya, that it becomes a lekecha, it becomes kechacha v'chayusecha, your power, your might, your energy, your vitality. So therefore, since that is what the whole idea of Matan Torah is about, so too it happens and it occurs and it expresses itself in the avoid of a person. Through the level of action, which is what it says about Shavuos, that uses both the word vasisa and it uses the word nidvas yadcham. It's drawn down to Havaya, your God, until it becomes your power, your might, your vitality and life force. So now, is this only by Shavuos? So he says, though this is specifically said by the Yom Tov of Shavuos, Halacha speaks about that you learn out from the Yom Tov of Shavuos to all the karbonos that it speaks about over there, the type of karbonos that he says over there concerning Mrs. Nidvas Yad Chashetitein. So we learn out from Shavuos for all the other Yom Tovim where you have to bring on Sukkot, on Pesach, and so on. How come? Why is Shavuos used as the source from which everything else is derived? Because for the Yom Tov of Shavuos, the time of the giving of the Torah, we draw down the idea of Matan Torah for the entire year. So this Lavai Lekecha Mrs. Nidvis Yod Chashatiten is something that begins specifically and is stated primarily in the Yom Tov of Shavuos.